All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back in the last Starship, and we're going to start getting going on Stargate Phase 7 today. This is ZELEON energy cells and Neobidium capacitors. We need a lot of them. We're going to get paid pretty well for it, but we need a lot of them, 160 here. So this is going to go in two parts, I think. This is Bad, and Bad's factory is pretty good at manufacturing things, but it's got extra space and stuff in here, and I think it'd be nice to be able to add to this production line in a way that allows us to maybe incorporate Neobidium into here too, because it seems like it's going to be necessary to do. And one of the things I set up here initially, because I wasn't sure about all the recipes into the future, is I set up a lot of metal, copper, and precious ore, and then I also have, you know, trillium being redirected all the way over here. And this has worked out okay for what we have, but now we're starting to get recipes that really demand other resources, namely Neobidium and ZELEON. Now, ZELEON is a gas. It is not going to be processed in here, but some of the recipes are going to require us to at least incorporate Bad into it when we do. Like the energy cells, for example. These require energy cell frames. And these energy cell frames are created in fabricators with Neobidium ingots. So there's at least some processing for Neobidium incorporated into the ZELEON energy cells, right? We also need shielded ZELEON, which requires us to make shielded canisters, which requires precious metals. So again, we need to make the canisters, which incorporate Bad. So Bad's going to be at the center of these things as well. And because of that, well, I'm going to need to like rework a little bit about where things are to make more room for Neobidium. And I think Neobidium can probably go right in here in the center. I said I wanted to incorporate this area, and I think I can do it. The only real problem I'm going to potentially have is trying to route the Neobidium ingots, once they're ingots, trying to route them to be over here. Because the ingots need to interact with the Stargate capacitors, and that's what these are over here. You need to interact with these Stargate capacitors. So what I'm thinking is, if I set up the Neobidium ingot line right in here, then I can have it routed out and around like this, and then down, and now the ingots can be in storage but also incorporated into the Stargate capacitors and stuff. Probably gonna have to redo these storages. There's too many of them, and like we don't really need this many. Like we have lots and lots of lenses and energy coils, and in fact I have so many energy coils at this point that I'm kind of feeling like maybe I can just decommission the entire copper line and not have copper at all. But as soon as I do that, there's going to be a reason to have copper again, probably. So I'm going to leave it where it is, but I might reduce its capacity. Like, for example, I might reduce it down to just one smelter instead and incorporate the equipment into the Neobidium line. Okay? I'm also going to take this storage here, and we're gonna play around with this a little bit too. So I want to move the storage, which is a little hard to do, but I think if I make this happen, then it'll be faster. If I just say copper ingots go here. What I'm hoping will happen here is that these guys will start unloading this as soon as I do this. And it won't take very much time because they will bring it into this spot here. I'm going to move these as well. We're just going to open this up so that we can have a little bit more storage, a little bit more freedom here. And same thing with the copper ore. So the copper ore needs a place to go as well, the minerals, whatever. And these are going to be located right here for now so that I can move this storage down a little bit. So I'm going to let them get on with that. And also over here, we're going to start breaking down these storages because I want to use this area for production. And that probably means I need to reroute the Stargate capacitor line to bring it down more down here. So I might end up using this for a Neobidium area too. We'll see. But Stargate capacitors, I think, are going to make their way down here. And that's going to open up a little area here. Alternatively, I could just have it come out here, but then I've got to reroute these tracks, which isn't a huge deal, but I could also bring the storages over here. I think, though, since Neobidium is going to probably work its way around like that, that's going to end up being in the way. But we'll see. Maybe I can have my Neobidium storage here and then my Stargate capacitors here. Now they're right next to each other, and we just input. So I can take a look at that. I got plenty of space. I've also got all these storages that we've built here, and I'm using these to replace these. So I'm just like moving all the resources out of here and moving them into here. You see that we're low on water and low on oxygen on Bad? Well, it has an FTL drive now. So we're going to go ahead and take the sector map here, and I'm going to make my way over to the Stargate shipyard with Bad. We're just going to go ahead and turn ourselves towards the jump point, which is going to take a little bit, but all the drones need to get inside. There we go. All the drones are in, and we can now relocate bad without having to deal with, you know, other ships and stuff being in the area. That's fine. It is going to mess up Jumper's route a little bit. And again, I didn't need this. I could have just said, hey, Jumper is in the area, which looks like it might be. It just moved. Yeah, I think it was in here already. But, you know, I could have just made this jump while the Jumper ship was here in the area. But we're going to go ahead and take this opportunity to do this. First thing we're going to do here is buy the oxygen resources that this place requires and the water resources that this place requires. And I don't need hardly any fuel, but we'll buy a little bit anyway because we might be relocating ourselves here in a second. So we're just going to organize this a little bit more. Also, I think probably we're going to sell. I think we can sell a lot of these resources too. I don't need to have this many components and everything. So why don't I go over here? And I'm going to say that we sell. Just when I do this, I'm going to need a whole bunch of these things. But I'm going to sell a bunch of motors like this, a bunch of energy coils. We'll go down to where we like dramatically reduce how many we're storing. We can always make more. So that's the idea, is to just move all the stuff that's in here and move it over here. And then also sell a lot of it. So like a lot of it's going out into the ship to sell it too. Okay, there we go. Now, I could have the Procyon Cruiser doing this for me right now, and it's probably a good idea to do that just because it can actually do it. And what I mean by that is it can mine, and it also has the facilities on board. If I swap these back, it has the facilities on board to create the Neobidium ingots. But what it doesn't have is a whole lot of storage for them. So there's not a lot of storage left for the Neobidium ingots. There we go. So it's going to start getting brought in, and then we'll have them, you know, prioritized. We'll put them in the crates, but also it's going to start getting processed, right? And then they'll put the ingots in here. But we have just so much stuff in this ship that I didn't want to start doing it with this, or at least depend on doing it in this ship. Take a look at the sector map. We've discovered SG-37, which is an asteroid belt or asteroid area that doesn't seem to be risky. We also have SG-40. Now, this is a cloud just like this one, and I'm hoping it doesn't have any meteors. But it's a storm, so there's likely still a need for the lightning rods. And that's kind of where I want to bring the tank. I want to bring the tank over there, I think. I got plenty of Metrian gas, and I'm so super full on everything here. With the resin and everything is just done. So same thing with fuel. Fuel's just done. So we're just sitting here doing nothing right now. And setting up another production line here that can handle the other stuff is going to be great, I think. So if I can get that happening, that'd be great. Let's go to the editor really quick. We'll go to equipment, and let's go ahead and start looking at building this in. So we need the gas collectors. Let's get the experience to be the same. I kind of like the idea of having everything symmetrical. I don't know why I like the symmetrical now, but you've converted me. All of you people have converted me. What happened here? All right, chemical labs, where are you? Chemical labs. All right, and we'll, again, face it this way, only so I have more room to maneuver the pipes. I don't think we need these tanks. I think these tanks are just extra, and so they can be removed, or, you know, we can route other resources into them from all here. So if we have, for example, a need for more Metrian gas storage, I can route and use some of these for that, and then have it rerouted back. But it's okay. I think this is good for now, and we'll go ahead and say buy all available, and then every time this ship gets somewhere, it will be able to handle that. Okay, so this ship here, we need to get to the Stargate and move ourselves over to where the gas cloud is. So we have a big trade coming, and it's going to be buying all this equipment, of course, as much of this equipment as we can buy anyway. And what I want to make sure that happens is that we don't start gathering more Metrian gas. But even if we are gathering it, it doesn't have power yet, so that's fine. So the tank is now going to make its way over to the other Stargate, yes, but the other shipyard is what I was going to say. Meanwhile, Jumper's just doing its thing. It's just going to keep doing its thing, gathering as much of the deuterium as possible, and I think we're going to get it to... it's unloading isotopes, but I think I actually want it to unload deuterium too. To give us a deuterium production line of some kind. So we'll take one of these away and go ahead and do that with it instead. And then we'll have this be an unload. And then I want to install storage for deuterium, and I'm going to have deuterium storage, I think, be like right here. So when you fill this, that should be the end of it. I don't have any general cargo areas, I don't believe. So we should be good there. So now we're going to start unloading it and just have a general supply of deuterium that we can trade to other ships. We can trade to any ship that might need it. I'm thinking Procyon cruiser later on or something like that. Or if I want to swap Hammerhead, for example, to having a fusion reactor, I would need some way to provide it because you see it's low on fuel. But as long as it's sitting here, it shouldn't be using too much fuel. Just the reactors to power everything is pretty much it. All right, are we still zapping? Yep, still doing that. And we're going to see the ingots, I think, eventually start getting delivered. They're going here first, it seems, and then they'll start giving it to this one, which is fine. But both of these are processing the Neobidium while we're on our way. And I need maybe more chemical labs too in here, just to do it. Yeah, just to do it. Industry, chemical labs. We'll get 3 more chemical labs just because we can. And those will go. So it's on the outside. It's on the left side. Left side. So left side is 1, 2, 3. I know it's overkill, and that's not an excuse to let it be as is. No, there's no excuses here. Okay, we do things. We do things all the way. We'll have a connection there too because we can. And then the pipes also need to go through the deuterium here. So we'll have you go out that way, and then you cross. Nope. Here we go. And then you will also cross and go that way. There we go. Very good. And so now we will begin processing even more. As I say, I want deuterium out of this as well. There we go. So more processing capacity, more to put in the tanks. Yay. So much. And then we just keep offloading it and placing it in storage. And I actually think because I have so much processing capacity, I just don't see a situation where we run out. But I want to test that theory too, I suppose. So we're going to have it unloading here as well. We're going to have you unload deuterium, and we'll expand the storage space for this deuterium to be up here and then also along here like this. So you are allowed to unload a lot of deuterium, and we'll have it available to trade to everyone else. That's gonna be great. The tank is not a very maneuverable ship. It's not gonna do a whole lot of obstacle avoidance. So it's definitely being placed in a location that is not dangerous, and a location with without meteors or anything like that. Okay, and then we'll simply have you doing the same thing as over here. So these things need to go 1, 2, 3, 4. And then right in front of them will be storages, which is 4 out, and then another one here. So in other words, from here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So from here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This will be where the spacing is on these robot arms that I've got to place. Okay, there we go. And then we just need the storage crates, which I will begin by placing one here and here. And then we can set up the other ones here and then also down on this side here. On the lightning rod side of things, we want to, of course, protect our base. So we have a lightning rod there and there. We're going to have another one here, have another one here. And then on this side, there and there. And actually, you know what? Maybe it'll look cleaner if we line it up, right? If we have this lined up entirely, it will look cleaner. I'm sure all of you will appreciate that. Having everything be all consistent on each side. There you go. And then on this side here, I can't do that. So what I'm going to do is actually line it up with this side instead. There you go. See? And man, I kind of wish we had some kind of copy tool in this game where I could just copy settings from one, and like multi selection, right, is a thing. I feel like I want to have multi selection. So we're doing shielded ZELEON here, but this requires the canister. So this is an extra little thing here. Yeah. This is a bit extra. You know, because of that, I feel like the shielded ZELEONs should be produced in bad. We could simply bottle up the ZELEON gas, the stable ZELEON. We could bottle that up, right? Because shielded canisters need to be produced in bad. And then the shielded ZELEON here, right? So we have stable ZELEON. We should just bottle this up and send it to bad for total, like, final processing here. That way the shielded canisters can be incorporated into a chemical lab setup with fabricators and precious metals. So I actually think that's a better play. Because, I mean, otherwise I'd have to set up precious metals to be delivered here, and then set up fabricators. Maybe it's okay. But then the final product from this still has to be sent here anyway. Like, the whole point is to send the final product. The shielded ZELEON needs to be an input for something, right? So I feel like that it should just be over there anyway. We have the space. At least I believe we have the space. So I'm going to tear this down again. Tear all these down. They're not necessary. We'll have them shipped over somewhere else. And that also means that I've changed my mind also on the medium tanks. Medium tanks aren't necessary either because we're going to be bottling the final product and then shipping it out. So, and then unfortunately, bottling the final product, I don't believe shielded ZELEON or stable ZELEON, I don't think it can fit in here. It doesn't fit like the Stargate resin does. Well, okay, shielded ZELEON, yes, but stable ZELEON is what I'm looking for. It doesn't, because that's stabilized is just a liquid. Or I guess it's a gas. It's a gas. I keep calling it liquid, but it's a gas. So, on that being said, I think we go ahead and place these here instead. And we just store it in a bunch of tanks instead. Let's place this back here just to give us an extra tank. Why not? Honestly, I want more loaders. Does Bad have any loaders right now? Do you have any loaders? I have 2 of them on board. I may need them, though, because we're going to be loading it into tanks on this side, so I'm going to need them. So never mind. So it's the same workflow as the stable isotopes, basically. It's the same stuff. As you bring stable isotopes in, and then it gets pumped into here, right? So we just need a simple setup that's very similar to this. So on that note, we could take our huge tank, for example, and place it here. And then do the same thing with the loaders. We could have one that's maybe like this and the other like this. We can leave a gap though, because I don't know. I feel like you'd want to. So we could go something like this. Make sure the pipes aren't. Yep. And then so what you end up with is a workflow where we simply send the stable ZELEON here. It gets loaded into this tank, and then that gets injected into whatever we're going to be using it for over here. And then this storage crate, I've decided that the storage for this is actually going to be moved as well. So on a storage crate basis here, instead of being here, I think I'm going to place you right here instead. So Neobidium, 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 and then it should be copper, 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 copper. Yeah. So now we have capacity at least, we have the capability at least to mine Neobidium with this ship and bring it in and store it here. And now that it's stored, we can then work on, you know, pushing it out somewhere else. So let's go ahead and get rid of the storage now. And we can set this up again. We're going to bring you like this. Okay, since there's only one of you anyway, it can be a direct route. So the track will go like this. Right? There's only one anyway. And then the short robot arm can be here and here. And then the copper can get output from here, and it goes off to do whatever it was going to do, right? So that's a little bit there. That gives me the room now to bring the smelter down, and I can bring the smelter down here now, and that's exactly where I need it, is right here, the smelter. So 2 Neobidium smelters here. Then we get our tracks laid in just like we did before down here, so it goes right up against the track on the arm, and then we leave a space and go through from there. All right, and then the last thing we'll do here, now that these are lined up, is we need to get storage on it. And so I can place this, I suppose right about here would be good. I don't think I'll need any additional capacity, so we'll go right here with it. And then we'll have our short robot arm go like this. And so that's going to set up a situation where we can now fully process Neobidium ore here. All right, so we have this, and then we're going to go processing Neobidium. This goes back to being copper. And all of these things are set up correctly now to fully mine neobidium and process it into ingots. So we're going to have you be ingots right there. Yep, and we'll prioritize that because we can. Okay, so because that's done, we can now go warp, right? We can now go light speed or faster than light, I suppose, and get over there and start mining it. So. And then the tank is here ready to go too. So we're going to have both of these guys jump through the Stargate right now. So FTL, both of you prepare the jump. In the meantime, Procyon Cruiser, I think you're probably full. You're getting pretty dang close to full. So I'm going to go ahead and real quick have you stop your mining. Yeah. It doesn't have any storage. Hammerhead's still low on fuel. We're going to deliver fuel to you too. We have plenty of fuel. We're in the new sector now, so tank needs to go to a different location, right? Tank is going to a new location. So where I want tank to go is here. And he's not going there with bad. So tank goes to this new sector, and we should be okay. Not entirely sure, but we should be okay. Let's jump. Because we have all these lightning rods. All right, we're in the cloud. And of course, we want to hook this up to cables as well. So let's get these hooked to power. And then we also want to hook all of these things to power. There we go. And that should be good to go. Refining ZELEON gas. Yes, gas canisters. Yes. There we go. So we are now collecting the gas. Yep, and then we just need to pipe it in now. So we have the pipes that are going to go into the huge tanks. Oh. These are still set to Metreon. That's okay, but since they're not built yet, that's going to be interesting. Let's just leave that for where it is for now. Pipes. Tank. Actually, we can get around that problem and leave that in the editor if I go a different route with my pipes, right? Yeah. Let's just go this way with the pipes. And that gets around the problem. Now I can have these, pre-installed or whatever and not have to worry about it. All right, so ZELEON gas goes here, and then the stable stuff comes out on the top. So stable stuff out here. There we go. Everything's set up now. We should see this glowing. Perfect. And then all the lightning, I'm hoping anyway, hits the lightning rods because there's a whole bunch of lightning rods here. So we shouldn't have any issue keeping things powered on the count of all the extra power we're going to have built up in the lightning rods. So that's the hope anyway. So this is now producing the stable ZELEON we require. We can just leave that alone exactly where it is. We don't need it to move. However, when the jumper ship shows up to transfer stuff to the tank and to make a trade with the tank, the jumper ship is going to be hit by lightning. I don't think it'll matter too much, though. It's temporary problems. And, if it shuts down some of the fusion reactors, we're in a stationary stopped position at the time. So I don't think it'll matter. We have a lot of fusion power here. And we also have enough reactors and batteries to properly boot one of them back up. So I don't think it'll be an issue. We'll leave that alone for now. All right, bad, you're next. Bad is going to go off to right here where we currently are. I think that would let me hit all of them. Let me see. Can you see it? Yeah, you can see both. Okay, so we'll have you hitting there and here, let's say. I don't know if I selected, this one right here. Select you to go there, okay? And then on this side, we want you hitting there and you're hitting there. So everybody's hitting the Neobidium now. And then we just head go, 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 boom, boom, boom. And then off it goes onto the track, just like all the other resources did. But now it should get filtered into this system. Yeah. And it'll get processed into here. Just want to make sure that the arms are doing what the arms should be doing, which is to say, oh, okay, yep, they're pulling it off that line. There it goes. It goes exactly where it needs to be. And it gets pulled in. There is the process. You are Neobidium ore as well. There we go. And everything gets pulled in to the smelters and then taken out and placed on this track and then put into that. Yep, there it is. Okay, so the whole process is done. We can see that it works. It's great. We're now processing Neobidium ore. Crystals, yep, same thing. I think we maybe bring that down to 10 even. And then we'll also have you transfer to the tank. Nope, bad. The stable ZELEON, right? and it'll just be quantity on board, or all but one, whatever, it's fine. All but one, and or maybe all but zero. Is all but zero going to give me infinite? I think that's what I think all but zero would be all, right? I feel like that's what that would be. We're going to test that out and see. Bring this back up to bad, like this, yes. So this is the trade. And that gives it a reason to visit the tanks. And now it has a reason to do that. And it's our logistics ship, right? This is a ship that's meant to be moving around and doing things and trading things and all this. So we can put all these trade routes into Jumper, because that's the whole point of Jumper. And that's the reason why it's so big too, is so we can have more resources. If I need to open up, you know, trading a different resource with a different ship, I have a place to store that resource. You have to have a place to store these resources. So I could, for example, put a storage right here. I have Neobidium ingots, but let's go stable ZELEON. Maybe I just want a storage for ZELEON, like right here. I don't know how much we're going to have when we trade, so I can have a nice place for it right there. Right, and then let's also go and get more drone bays right next to this. We can have them more in the center instead. It's better that way. So it'll now come in like that, which is a super cool way to enter, I think. And they'll start transferring the stuff over. So now we're going to start seeing stable ZELEON move. And look, it's going to dock. There's so much to transfer that it's going to dock. And I'm not doing it, right? It's doing it all on its own. I think that's cool. There we go. So we'll go ahead and dock together, and then all the crew can bring that over. And it's going to transfer all but one of the stable ZELEON that it has in store. Or all but three, I suppose. Maybe it's an order for the amount that it had in that moment, maybe is what it is. So that's pretty nice. So let's go over to bad, where it's not quite so loud, and you can see that we have just a whole bunch of this stuff moving, as we are now full of the Neobidium ore. And we need a purpose for this storage here. So we got a couple of different things that we want to make from the same resource. Remember I said I wanted to use this space potentially for something else that might take copper. Well, as it turns out, there's actually something else that we need that requires precious metals. And this little bit of space here that I've opened up to get Neobidium ingots in here is actually gonna work out okay. There's a couple of things we need to do, but ultimately I think it's gonna work out okay. So what I have in my head is not a design. I just know the ingredients, and I have to figure out the design. Here are the ingredients. Precious metals needs to create shielded canisters. And those canisters then need to meet up with the stabilized ZELEON to create, here, I'll show you, to create the shielded ZELEON, okay? So shielded canisters need to meet up with this into a chemical lab to create shielded ZELEON. And this is done with precious metals. So we're going to make the shielded canisters over here. One precious metal makes 3 shielded canisters. That's pretty good ratio. So we probably only need one fabricator. I have 3 fabricators here for lenses, and I don't think I need that many for lenses. So I'm going to repurpose one of them to make me the shielded canisters. However, the shielded canisters are going to be brought onto this thing right here, and I don't want that. So if I take a look really quick at my setup, I think what I'm going to find is that the ingots going from here. So this is the one that I want to tear down. I don't want this to be here anymore. So we're going to get rid of this. So robot arm like this. And now I have a path underneath this arm on this side and on this side. So that actually opens me up for a little bit more flexibility there. I like that. We'll have that be a thing. Okay, so the next thing though that we need, and it's the big one, is Neobidium capacitors. Okay, now this is the harder one to make, but the capacitors here create a little bit of a situation because I need Neobidium ingots directly for the capacitors, and it's a 5-to-1 ratio. That's a lot of ingots, but thankfully it's just ingots. All right, so these work with the Stargate capacitors though. So now I need the ingots in their form to be over with these guys. We can make that happen by using a whole bunch of track. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a whole bunch of track that goes up this way and then turns. And I was going to go around the outside and then pull it off with a arm and stuff and bring it, but I actually have a gap behind this. And so I'm just going to use this gap that's behind this, and we're going to bring it over here. Okay. Now the catch here is that we don't just need to export ingots. We also need to create something from the ingots. And that is, we need to create the energy cell frames, because these ZELEON energy cells also require frames, and the frames they come from this. It's a 1-to-1 from this. So we need a lot of those too. And this is thankfully only one frame for this. So what we want to do is send a bunch of ingots this way, but also pull some of them off to make frames. So we're going to go for that too. So if the shielded ZELEON can be made right here in this space, maybe all of this can be made right here in this space is what I'm thinking. I think so. I think the entire energy cell can be produced right here, because we're making the canisters from precious metals, right? And we're making the frames. And so we just pump the ZELEON into here and we're good. So I think this whole thing is going to be where our energy cells are. I like it. We're going to bring you here, and then I'm going to have a short arm bringing more ingots into this storage. All right. So that'll be set up to bring more ingots into the storage. Just expanding ingot storage so that we don't have this problem, because this is going to start backing up the belt here in a second. It's not slowing us down yet, but it's about to. So I want to start this up and get this moving. Cables are already ready to go. Okay. From this, we will then bring this into fabricators, or into a fabricator, I suppose, for these frames. There's only one frame per cell, so we don't need a lot of these. It's just a little bit. So there's a little interim here. So we're going to go like that, and that's going to create our frames. Now, on the precious metal side, we're making this fabricator here. It might actually be more logistically favorable for me to remove this fabricator entirely and bring it down here, and just leave these two for lenses and have all these happen, but bring this down here, and then using a bigger arm, we just directly pop it in there for the shielded canisters. A dismantle on this, which means we don't need that arm. We can repurpose that arm and bring it over here instead. And let's have it be here. So now we're going to bring precious metals out of the storage directly into the fabricator that will be responsible for making that. There's apparently 12 of them right there. Oh my God. Yeah, they make very fast. So we don't need a lot of these, all right? We're going to be fine. We might actually need 2 of these, only because they're making so many canisters, we can make more cells. This is going to end up being our bottleneck because we're going to make so many canisters. Now, that's not entirely true, because the frames go directly to the final product. But this gets refined and changed and all that stuff. So maybe that's not the case. And also, we need double the canisters for a single frame. So never mind. All right, so let's leave this as is. So the next stage here, we'll break this down step by step. The frames are going to go immediately into the ZELEON energy cells. So the assembly table is the final destination for these cells, these frames anyways. The shielded ZELEON, though, that's going into a chemical lab. It's a 2 for 2. And we pump this in. So chemical labs. Maybe the chemical labs, just to get out of the way of the assembly tables, we could have the assembly tables already fitted here, so we know where they're going. So I think maybe here would be good for this. This would be okay. We could put the assembly tables, let's say, have to be somebody standing on them, right? So we could say here and here are where the assembly tables will go. Storage crate to store this final product then could be over here, like that. Okay. Then we have tracks that just take it where it needs to go and drop it off where it needs to be, right? Into storage here. Right, so we have these short arms go like that and like that. Okay, so that's our end product. Our ZELEON energy cells are going to be here. I'm not entirely sure we need 2 of these. It's probably not necessary, but I'm going to plan for 2 of them anyway. And this is where we'll store them, and then we can also take them out here and bring them around. So if we need those energy cells, we'll bring them around. Now, this is getting very crowded right now, and there's a lot of belts here that you can't really cross very well. There's no smartness to them, but we can always position arms nearby to like transition certain resources off of belts and move them around. So we'll see. Not sure how that happened, but we'll get you off of that. And so the next step here then is to figure out, because the frames are easy. And actually, I wish I had a small storage. Can I get a small storage, please? We don't need lightning rods. Oh my God, we're still making lightning rods. I don't need them. Don't need them. Let's go small storages. Just a... Where in the world is it? Small storage crate right here. Let's make that instead, because I need them. All right, I'm going to bring this track, this set of tracks here, all the way around the outside most wall. And then I'm going to also add the mining lasers back over here too. So mining laser can just be here and here, I guess. Let's make sure those are connected to power. There we go. No big deal. And then... Do we get our storage crate yet? Why isn't this happening? Come on now. Come on now. Small storage crate. There it is. I have 2 of them now somehow. So we'll go ahead and do this. And I want to have this be here. Right here. I want it to be narrow like this. So I want to have room on this side. So we'll go like this. Hang on. Now this needs to go around. I'm trying to see how that has to angle to make it work. It's going to have to be like this. We'll take the short arm here. Track here. And then it goes like this. Because I need this room. So it needs to be about here. And then I need to zigzag out again. And the issue with this storage being here, I'm not going to make that fit. It's not going to fit. There's not enough space. Okay, storage crate has to be on this side then. It's still a small one though. I don't want a big one here. Right here is fine. And we'll take this short storage arm and go like this. Okay, so that'll give me the frames in storage and then I can work it from this side. I think we might need more crew on this ship. Everything's going a little bit slow for me, but I went ahead into logistics and I've moved to have 3 crew leave the Procyon cruiser and come into bad. But they aren't doing that. They aren't doing it. We're here, we're docked, but they aren't doing that. And the only thing I can think of is it's because we're still moving is the only thing I can think of. I'm repositioning the ship over here. Yeah, they got metallic ore mining, but I can get metallic ore mining over here and precious ores at the same time, which is what I would rather do. So I'm gonna just angle my ship this way now so that my mining lasers can go ahead and get both sides. I've got the other mining laser set up over here now with this track all the way against the back wall. And then I've got this track moving the Tilium ore up and around, and then this one is now going to move the ingots across. All right, so we have that. Okay, over here on this side, I need cables hooked up there. And now the ingots get put into here to make a frame, and then the frame gets put into this storage. So we'll have the frames, energy cell frames right there. Okay, there we go. So now we're making frames, and that's great. Everything can happen. While also simultaneously, the ingots are being pushed over here. But when the ingots can no longer go on this track, they'll be taken off of for this arm and brought over here. But this is already full. So we have both of these storages full. We're ready to rock on Neobidium ingots now. Now over here, we're making our Stargate capacitors. And the reason why these are being routed over here is because they need to interact with the Stargate capacitors. Here's the thing. The Stargate capacitors kind of have a lot of them already. I don't think we need this many of them anymore. So I don't need 4. I can settle with 2. And here's the best part. With 2, I can use the other 2 to be for the other recipe. So I can use the other 2 to be for our Neobidium capacitors, right? They take Stargate capacitors as an input. And we already have the Stargate capacitors being created right here. So what I can do here instead, from this, I can have it rerouted around. I am going to, sounds a little weird. I'm going to take this track and I'm going to delete it. All right, that track is going to go away. Then we're going to delete these tracks. Yep, those and these. So because these are here, like this, I don't need this supply to go all the way around anymore. And I actually deleted these arms for no reason. So these arms need to go away, need to come back. Then after I do that, I'm going to tear down these 2 assemblies and I'm just going to move them a little bit over. Assembly table needs to go over. So you can have them stand on this side still, but instead of being here, they can be here. Okay. And that's it. That little change is going to make a huge difference because it opens up the ability to export on this side, which is really what I really want to do. So we're going to take the short arms And we're going to export here and here. Now these tracks can come up this way, turn this way, and go all the way around this way. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to have a robot arm grab them off of this path. I could really just do it this way. Let's just do it this way. Grab them from here and bring them over onto a track here where they can then be placed into storage, or I can just place storage here, which is what I think I'm going to do instead. Right there. Okay. So that's going to be the output for these two tables here that are making the Neobidium capacitors. Here we go. Okay, so now we have our output. So now the input's very simple. We just move this over one more track, and now I don't need 3 tracks to be here, and that simplifies things a lot, I think. So we'll go ahead and have it go, I guess, from here, and then it goes like, yeah, like this. I believe that will take care of what I needed. So let's go ahead and connect these to power, and then I want to get my arms put in. We need a short robot arm here and here. Oh, I'm out of short robot arms. It's like one short arm away from being good here. I'm gonna have to go get a short arm, or just make one. Just make one. I have tracks, right? But making tracks down here. Let's make a short arm over here. We should be able to make that. We have all the recipes for these things. A short robot arm right there. Okay. Go ahead and have them make that. So it comes in here, and then it's gonna get placed in like that, and then the same short robot arm will grab it off of this and place it in like that. All right. Then the long arms. The one long arm will be over here, and that is going to place it like that, and then I can have another one that does it here, or I can have it placed. It doesn't really matter where it goes. I'm just going to make them even, so it's going to be here and here, I guess, is fine. I can then go ahead and dismantle here, and now I only need one. I only need one short robot arm now. There we go. So as we create them, they go in storage there. Very good. Onwards to this side again, where we still need to place these into fabricators that do this. So all of these. So I think this is going to make them. And we're going to go shielded canisters. So that'll get placed into here, and we'll start making the canisters. Then those canisters need to go into another small storage crate. And man, I'd like to have this be, yeah, like right here would be perfect actually, right? And then it's like lined up with these two things. I kind of like that. Let's put it here, and then we'll have, I would like a small arm, but it doesn't really matter, I suppose. We'll have a big arm do that right there. So as the canisters get made, the arms bring them into storage, and then we end up with the 2 ingredients that we need. The shielded canisters here. We end up with shielded canisters located here, and the energy cell frames here. Now, these need to be processed into a chemical lab, right? So let's go ahead and do those, and we'll get a storage lab or storage crate right here. I think here is better. Yeah, we'll get a storage crate here. All right, so the jumper came by and dropped off the stable ZELEON, and it's kind of a nuisance because things end up on the tracks, and I don't like it. So I'm making some modifications to it. This, the bad factory currently only has 2 drone bays at the moment, and actually it's not really slowing down with just the 2, which is kind of surprising. But we're going to put those back, and I'm going to put them back, I think, back over here. We're going to say one goes, I don't know, let's say one goes here. Yeah, one goes here, one goes here. And then I can shift this one to be here. And you can see the loader, we're completely full on this stuff. So we're kind of making more than we need. Go figure. That's the theme. We're out of stable isotopes. I probably should have that brought over too. Is that not part of the logistics, actually? It should be. Transfer from bad. So transfer to bad. Stable and isotopes. Apparently, I'm just not transferring enough of them. So why don't we go like this? And then I'm going to actually reduce the quantity on this and just have you drop off like 2 or something. Like really small for now. Not even, I'm honestly just going to say 0 at the moment. Don't do that one. But you should drop off like 10. Like 10 stable isotopes, because we have a lot of those. Yeah, we do. We have a lot of those, and we could definitely have more. And look at all the deuterium that I've got stored. And, like, all the tanks are full. Yeah. More deuterium than we would ever need. It's just, it's a nice ship that just has all the deuterium my entire fleet could ever need. I think now I have the arm that I require, my short robot arm. There it is. And we can go ahead and do that. Now, At this point, this whole setup here is automated, and we have now delivered Neobidium capacitors right here. So one of the things I could do if I wanted to deliver things for the Stargate, right, is because I have all the capacitors, I could now set that up in my fleet logistics to have the jumper ship pick up Neobidium capacitors up to a quantity of 160 and then sell 160. And so the next step in this process is getting that chemical lab going. And I have 2 chemical labs now. And I could set it right here, but it's really, really close. There's no space. We're gonna go with small ones instead, because small ones will give me more space. So we'll do that instead. Or I can just slide it down. Yeah, why don't we just slide it down? Because then I have even more. That's fine too. Storage crate, we could slide it down to here. Because everything is being loaded upwards now, so this can go here. That's fine. So with that being there, we could then have our chemical lab for this whole setup, I guess, could be here. I just don't have the room that I expected to have. It's very tight in here. Yeah, we're gonna have to go about like this, I guess. I think we'll go here with 1 chemical lab only. I thought about doing 2, but I think we're just gonna do 1 because there's not enough room. So we need the robot arm to pull this out of storage. The short one. Yep. I need the short robot arm to pull this out of storage in, I guess, this direction would be fine. Place it on a track, which then gets placed into here. And then from this side, we could have it just automatically inputted. I could bring this up again. Since I'm not doing 2 chemical labs. Yeah, since I'm not doing 2 chemical labs, we can do it this way. You can be right up against this. Like that. And now the short robot arm will just pull it in from there. Will it grab it off the ground? I want to make shielded ZELEON, which requires the stable ZELEON and then the shielded canisters. So will you grab it off the ground? You will. Okay, that's great. So I don't need to have a track. And then this will drag it directly into here, where you will now store in this storage the shielded ZELEON right here. Okay. So from there, we want to pull it out of this and stick it in this, right? That's the final component. So frames go in and shielded ZELEON goes in to both of these. All right. So to do that, I want to install a robot arm, and we'll have the robot arm go 1, 2. That pulls it from the storage. And then the next one we'll do is short robot arms here and here is fine with me. And then we have the track, bring it around like that. And then we just have a short robot arm taking the frames out and putting it on the track. And now the whole setup is complete. This will be our ZELEON frames. About here is good. And then straight across and down into there. Like that. Okay. There it goes. So now this should start running. There it goes. Cables. Power. Confirmed. All right. We are now officially making ZELEON energy cells for the Stargate project. And we are also making Neobidium capacitors. And those are getting stored in storage right here, but then also they're getting traded and stuff as well. Okay? We have more than we'll ever need. We are over-engineering everything. And that is intentional, and it is fine. It's completely fine. So we can just deliver it to the Procyon cruiser and then just drop it off and deliver it. But more satisfying for me, right, is to put this into a trade route with Jumper because it's already moving, right? With an infinite range, it just never... It's not going to matter. It can jump an infinite amount of time. We're probably like, I want to say 2 videos, 3 videos. Realistically, if I wanted to highly edit the rest of the series, I could say there's like 3 videos left. We could have a video for phase to finish phase 8, a video to finish phase 9, and then a video to finish phase 10. But probably got about 4 or 5 left in me for this one. You know, there's some battling to do here too, because there's another pirate group over here. I have to clear this, and then once I clear this, I probably get, you know, the main quest continues, and then we'll progress the story a little bit more by clearing out the fortress. And also, just so I never forget, and also if I have any ship at all, yep, in this system, right? We still have the tidlets to do. Travel Institute, the tidlets. So we're going to do that too, okay? Thanks for watching. Appreciate you. And for listening to me ramble, I appreciate your patience as well. We'll see ya. Bye-bye.